Hey YouTube, Sister Kate here on a first day, having a quiet moment. People in the community are doing their own things. We had a really good Shabbat meeting. The sermon from that will be posted on the Shofar Mountain website, shofarmountain.com at YouTube. If you'd like to listen in on them, there's all the weekly sermons for the last 3 years posted on that site. And so I had a little bit of time. I haven't done any videos lately. We've been pretty busy. We've had a lot going on this week on the community. And so I've been thinking about what I wanted to talk about. And one of the things I thought it might be timely and of interest is modesty. I did a post on modesty. I think I did it on Facebook. And I kind of compared clothing, at least nowadays, with handkerchiefs and napkins from 100 years ago. I mean, we have bathing suits that really, why is anyone bothering? I mean, they're the size of, somebody's hand. And where did people's modesty go? What makes us think, modern people think, because I've worn, bathing suits when I was a younger person, that they need to show everyone everything they have. I mean, it's like strutting around. It reminds me of the ancient Greek civilization that revered the human form. And so that's why we've got tons and tons of statues of naked people, because the Greeks thought that was the paragon of excellence, was like perfect human form. That's pretty egocentric. That's pretty narcissistic of us, because we have no power over, the form we're born into. And yes, you do have power over what it looks like once you're in it. I will grant people that. And your health does depend on the state that your body is in. So you can feed it, healthy foods, clean foods that the Father recommends for it. You can exercise your body and keep your muscles and your strength up. Keep your whole form more upright, etc., etc. You won't run into back problems, knee problems, hip problems if you keep your musculature at a certain level. Also, you can take care of your skin. You can tell mine is showing the signs of being outside a lot of my life, but I do wear sunscreen. So I'm trying to protect it, even though I know I need to be out in it, or I prefer to be out in the weather often. So there's a whole, I don't know, world line of thought, whatever, about just health in your body. And there's very modern, these things. I mean, hippies did it in the 60s, where you just try to get back to the basics of what you're eating. There's the paleo diet, where it's meat or vegetables and fruits that can be eaten raw and nothing's cooked. There's diets where it's all vegetarian. There's diets where people have dairy or they don't have dairy. And so, I mean, on a certain level, humans should be concerned about the machine that they're given to use. You should have a certain amount of care for that. But the most important thing that you care about first is spiritually. That you are believing in a creator, that you see his world around you, and you want to be in tune with the man who made the machine that you're running. Because your spiritual health does affect your physical health. And it does work vice versa, but there is a peace and a shalom, that's what shalom means, to being in right relationship with your God. And I know you can hear firing in the background. That's that lesson. There's a video posted on my YouTube page about that. So modesty, my daughter has a blog. It's called, I believe it's called Israelite Lady. She posts and it gets shared on my Facebook page sometime. And she's a younger generation of Israelite who's giving her views on our walk and our faith. And in it, she made a post on modesty, and her post was, she does a lot of research. It's scriptural, so I will support her in that. And her point was, modesty is also of your mind. It's of how you think. It's your relationship with other people. And she has a point there. I mean, it's not just all about your outward appearance, but it's also your character. Are you modest in your character, or are you the typical modern, narcissistic, selfish, self-righteous, American or human? Or do you have the heart of Christ? Do you have the servant's heart? Do you have the heart to help others, to feel compassion for others, to try to improve your surroundings, to be a good neighbor to people, and to help, even if, let me put it another way. Depression is a thing, and there's a chemical depression, but there's also an emotional depression. And one of the best things to do for getting out of the emotional depression is helping somebody else. You get the benefit of their positive feedback normally, even if you don't. If you're a Christian, you know that you serve without expecting a return. But it's also the benefit of knowing you did good. And why do you feel that good? Because at the heart of the matter, that is what your Father in heaven wants from you. And so you're pleasing Him. You're giving yourself some positive feedback because you have pleased Him, and in your heart you know it. Look into the new covenant, because Christians are all about the new covenant. The new covenant says the law of Yahweh is written on your heart. You know it deep inside, that you're not supposed to steal, that you're not supposed to murder, you're not supposed to sleep with your relatives or treat your neighbors badly. It's inherent. And so it goes with helping someone else is a good that the Father teaches you that He wants for His children. So you know that in your heart when you do good. And then there's doing good to somebody else. It's kind of the worldly version of it is pay it forward. The spiritual version of it is do unto your neighbor as you would have them do unto you. Love them like you love yourself. And you are to love yourself. You're to love yourself as a creation of Yah, and He knows you from top to bottom. So He knows you before you're even born. He knows every hair on your head, and He creates all the things that He creates are good. When you read in Genesis, as we did in the Torah portion this week, we started again and we begin in the beginning. God creates all these things, heavens and earth, light and darkness, animals, plants, etc. And it's good on each of the days. And then at the end, it says it's very good. So you are very good I won't say that you're morally good in the eyes of the Father, but as a creation, He has found you good and He loves you. And so by doing good, you are doing what He put in you. When you do evil, you're actually fighting the nature that God gave you. And you're following in the footsteps of the person who rules evil in our world, and that is Satan. And he is an entity. And if you don't think he's an entity, do a Google search. You'll see a statue of him now being put up in Detroit or Philadelphia or wherever that is. You will see people who have a whole belief system based on him. And then when you see some of the things that evil people do, you can't help but know evil is an entity. So by doing good, you're actually fighting that entity. You are winning one for the good guys. And so how does this all relate to modesty? Self-promotion is Satan's religion. Look it up. So when you're self-promoting, you're doing the opposite of what your Father wants, because it says, you know, modesty is a virtue. It's something that is a proponent. It's something that being modest is part of your worship of God, of acknowledging Him and what He wants for you. And it's also good for your own mental and physical state of being. So I just thought I'd put that out. I know it's not going to be popular. I know it's not something that most people would be proponents of nowadays, but there is value in it. And a lot of times the value only comes from experience. It comes from seeing the opposite and the results of the opposite. And it doesn't necessarily have to come with time. It has in my experience, in my life, because I wasn't born into a faith that I wanted to follow, and it took me years to come to this faith. But there are people born with that, not proponent, but life value, and they are probably seeing the results of that way sooner than I did. So just some thoughts for you to, you know, ponder, pray about, come up with your own conclusions, and I hope it's blessed you. Shalom!